What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this one I want to break down what's going on with NIO stock and talk about some very, very important levels. I'm also going to give you guys my price prediction of what I think is going to play out for tomorrow as we're starting to look a little bit more bullish on the 4-hour time frame. But I first want to talk about a very important level and a test for NIO, which is going to dictate which way this thing ends up going. I'm also going to talk about SPY, Tesla, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and then break down what's going on with all this data and the news. But before I break anything down about all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm personally not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends very soon, in just about 8 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with NIO. NIO is up 7.11% today, respecting a nice uptrend from here. But the question is, will NIO try to continue pushing? In my opinion, there's a good chance NIO is going to get a very important test. And I will talk about this in just a couple of minutes. But let's first talk about some news, some other important things about the markets before I talk about the charts on all the different tickers. So what's good about NIO is NIO just broke their all-time high deliveries record. We saw other companies do relatively well too, but if anything, NIO absolutely crushed it. You could see that NIO said they did about 19,000 deliveries in August. That is once again very close to their all-time high record. That's above the range that they basically estimated, and it's still looking very strong amidst the slowdowns that are happening in China. So demand is slowing down in China. There's no doubt about that. There are hardships going on. That's true. But despite that, NIO is still absolutely crushing it. They're doing almost 20,000 deliveries almost every single month for the last 2 months. And they're going to continue to do so, in my opinion. I think we're going to end in a very, very strong note, which can most definitely help the share price. So things are looking good for them, especially with NIO Phone coming out. And I think that this is going to be very positive for their technicals. Now, for tomorrow, I have a reminder for everyone. Tomorrow, when the market opens, maybe very slow when we start off, but then what's going to set the direction for the day is going to be the economic optimism report. This is coming out at about 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time or New York time. My time is different right here because this is for like the West Coast. That's where I live. So like right here, you guys can see 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time or New York time, 30 minutes after the market opens, expect some volatility. That is going to affect how the market ends up moving. Now, there's been another update for NIO, however. NIO has reported that as of August 31st, NIO has 134 NIO houses, 286 NIO spaces, 310 NIO service, 301 NIO service centers, and about 1,800 power swap stations with 3,074 power charger stations. Once again, a total of 18,058 power chargers. That's good news for them as infrastructure is continuing to improve. That's very, very good for them. So I'm very excited about this. They have quite a few in Europe as well. They have the European numbers right here. About 11 NIO spaces in Europe, 141 power swap stations, 5 in Europe. They have 2 in Europe when it comes to their overall power chargers. They're just barely entering Europe, and I think they're going to continue to grow. In my opinion, it's growing. It's continuing to grow, and I think there's so much potential. 77 million was the volume. It's starting to get some good buying pressure. And what else is worth noting is it had this high short interest down here that went down as we started to see some shorts covering right before NIO's deliveries. It's almost as if they knew something, and NIO is starting to show some life. Now, going up, NIO tends to be green about 55% of the time on Tuesdays. There's a good chance it's going to try to continue pushing. Price price ratio is starting to bounce right here. You can see this tiny little pop here. We're starting to show some relative strength, and Mizuho is giving NIO a buy rating. NIO is getting some positive stuff right now. So what do I see happening to NIO? I believe that on the 4-hour time frame, it looks bullish, and it's going to be testing the 200 EMA. So I think tomorrow NIO is going to test 11.4, and we're going to see if NIO could bounce off that or not. If it could break 11.4, if we manage to break it, this thing has the potential to push up to 12.3 plus. So I'm leaning more bullish. I think we're going to see NIO push up even higher and hit 11.4, potentially even $12. I think there's going to be a nice pop on NIO. I'm leaning more bullish for tomorrow. However, my view on the whole market is still a little bit different. I think this could affect NIO later on. I'm a little concerned about Aapl because Aapl is on the 4-hour starting to lose some bullish momentum. It's very overbought, but here's the thing. On the daily chart, it has this unfilled gap around 191. We could see Aapl make an attempt to fill this gap and then reject and start cooling off a bit. I think there might be a retracement coming to the markets. Very, very healthy one. And that's what I'm basically predicting. We pop a little bit more on Aapl before we start cooling off. And I think the market may follow that trend. So there's a good chance, for instance, that SPY or SPY is another pop, retest like 454, if not 456. We could pop just a little bit more, get a rejection off that, or maybe a little higher. And then we start to just downtrend a very healthy styled pullback back down to like 445. That would be completely healthy for the rest of the week. So a little pop first before it just starts to consolidate and it just starts cooling off just a little bit before this thing tries to continue higher. So I think there might be a pullback coming for the week for SPY. We may pop first before the pullback comes. But the QQQ, the same thing is possible, but on the 4-hour time frame, it's looking a little weaker. It may retest like 380, maybe even 382, and then start slowing down, or it could just slow down from here. If it does slow down from here, you're going to be watching it retest 375 and then 372. I think the odds greatly favor that, so you just want to be open-minded just to be safe. And finally, for Nvda, we have a bearish cross on the PPO. This is looking a little weaker as of right now. It looks like there is more downside coming. We're going to be watching this imbalance down here at 466. Could get a little pop and retest of this like 490 resistance, reject off that, then start cooling off to about 475. Our 50 EMA is at 475, so I think this is going to be retested. That breaks, I think it's going to be going all the way back down to 470. So watch for a little pop, a retest of 490, then potential rejection. We have a bearish cross on the PPO. I think the odds greatly favor price action like that. Finally, what does this mean for NIO? Well, initially the market's going to try to pop, and I think that this is going to help NIO. With the economic optimism report coming out, expect some volatility 30 minutes after the market opens. And after that, we'll see if NIO could break above the 200. If it breaks it, this thing has more potential for upside. If not, it is what it is. But I do believe NIO could retest the 200. We'll see if this breaks. If it manages to break it, that's going to be a good sign. If it rejects, it is what it is, but my guts tells me it's going to break it and approach the $12 area very soon over the next couple of days and start outperforming the market because NIO did very well with their deliveries. I also think that there's a possible uptrend that could be respected as we have this possible inverse head and shoulders, and that could bring NIO all the way back up to like 12.4. So I think we're going to retest the 200 at 11.4. We may reject off this temporarily, but I think we want to just establish a higher low. I think NIO is going to slowly start pushing back into the 12s, and the 12.4 should be tested over the next couple of days. The market may make it a little bit more difficult for NIO to try to like really push up. The overall market may kind of like act as an anchor just temporarily, but NIO will still see some upside most likely nonetheless, and I still think that there's lots of potential to do so. Now, even if the market gets some kind of pullback in September, I still believe that regardless of that, like I said in my earlier videos, towards the end of the year, NIO could still see a massive squeeze. I'm still very bullish on NIO nonetheless. So I'm very excited. I can't wait for what the future holds. And with that said, I thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day, guys. Remain calm, cool, and collected. Have a very happy Labor Day weekend here in America. The market is closed, by the way. It's going to open tomorrow. So take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and peace out.